Good evening. 2 minutes early today. Let me know if you can't hear me. I have a lot of background noise and I apologize in advance for that. Let's see. Who's here? Good evening, everyone. Close out some tabs here. Hi. Good evening. Let's see. Good evening, welcome. Hi, Phil. Good evening. How are you? It's good to have you. Welcome. Let me know if you can't hear me. Oh, I may have some background noise going on. Hi, Tina. Good evening. Good evening. I see that. I can already hear some additional background noise. Can you hear like cars and stuff? Okay, let's see. How are you? Good evening. Let's see who's watching. Hey. Hello, everybody. Good evening. How are you? Okay, good. You said you can hear me. That's perfect.
Okay, good. You said.
Okay, awesome. Hi, Clara. Good evening. How are you? Good evening. How's your week going? Hi, Meg. Welcome. How are you? Hey. How are you guys? It's Tuesday evening and we're gonna get started, okay? Welcome everybody to this live Q&A for today on Fix and Flips. I did get a couple of questions, but I'm still just gonna look quickly in the group just to see if we have any questions from there. I know a lot of people responded saying that they wanted to be in the live, but I think most of my questions are from outside. I mean, you probably got an email or something. All right, so yeah, how y'all doing? If you have any questions on Fix and Flip, definitely go ahead and type those questions down, and I'm gonna address the questions that I already got, okay? All right, so let's go right into it. Good evening, everybody. Hi, Phil. Hi, Tina. Hi, Meg. Hi, let's see. Sometimes I have to take another approach to see everyone. Anyways, those are the people I can see for now. I'm sure I'm still gonna get to see more. It's gonna show me more people later. I guess that's how the system works. I'm not sure. Anyways, the number one question I got is, how do I find a good flip? Okay. How do I find a good flip? So if you had that question in mind as well, there's actually a training where we talked about the where to find the good flips and the how to actually calculate your offer, how to know that it should be a good flip. So the where and the how to determine that it's a good flip. So if you were thinking of that question as well, definitely type training in the chats and Meg is gonna forward that training over to you. Okay, to know whether a flip is a good one or not, or to actually be able to determine where to find the good flips. The other question I have is, how does fix and flip financing work? Okay, so the way that fix and flip financing works is very different from traditional or conventional. So fix and flip financing um is is something we get done with other non-conventional lenders. So we're talking about hard money lenders, we're talking about commercial lenders. Definitely commercial lenders, hard money, they're more on the higher interest side. But at the end of the day, if a bank was going to fund construction, They'll probably be somewhere in the ballpark. Okay. Oh, by the way, the background today is different. It's one of the flips we did, and I just figured, hey, what better background to use than a flip background? I hope you think it's amazing. It's a nice kitchen. Anyways, um, so the way that funding works or financing works for fix and flips is this hard money lenders or commercial lenders are not people who would look at your pay stub or look at your tax return or look at your income. Okay, so what they really want to see is the assets, the property itself. They're called asset-based lenders. They look at the numbers to determine whether they would they will fund the property or fund the project or not. If your numbers are right, there's a higher likelihood that they would fund your project. Then the other thing is a FICO score. So if you have a 620 and up, you stand a good chance. But I've seen people who are lower, but because the deal is so good, they decided to go ahead and fund it because it's a no-brainer deal. So don't focus on your FICO. You want to focus on the deal itself. Okay, so if you know how to calculate your numbers, if you know how to find the right property, if you know how to execute the fix and flip, you have partner lenders who would help partner with you on that deal. Okay, so it's not really about your tax returns, not about your income, it's not even about your savings account. It's about understanding the strategies that go behind funding and flipping the properties. Okay, all right, so the third question I have here before I read off your comments here is, how do I estimate the cost of rehab correctly? So there's no shortcut to estimating your cost of rehab. You gotta analyze the deal. You have to know how to analyze. If you don't know how to analyze a deal, then you have no business doing a fix and flip deal. Okay. You don't want to get in trouble. So you want to actually analyze the deal. And part of analyzing your deal is your repair estimate. The inner circle folks already know when we're analyzing our deals, we're doing our ARV, we're doing our repair estimates. Those are like two big things that we'll put into the whole calculator to be able to determine if it's a good flip or not. And to be able to calculate your numbers correctly. So yeah, definitely there's no shortcut to knowing if to estimating the cost of rehab correctly, except you analyze it. Even as even when you grow in experience, you still need your analyzers. Yes, initially you can kind of do like a quick surface estimation. That's a mosquito, by the way. You can kind of do a quick surface estimation on on if this property is actually looking good so far, but eventually you definitely want to go ahead and punch it in your deal analyzer. Okay. All right. Thank you, Meg. Meg says she likes the background. Question: do you handle a property that says subject to probate court approval? How do you handle a property that says subject to probate court approval? Well, so you just make your offer. Make your offer. It's subject to probate court approval. And the probate court would review the offer and say yes or no. Okay. So to say yes, you go ahead and start to close. If it's a no, then you gotta see if there's something else you can do to your offer to make it acceptable. But also in the probate court and the process, there are different stages. So they might not be quite there yet where they are ready to sell. They might not be at the sell stage yet. So you might need to be patient a little bit with probate properties. But usually at that time when they come on the market, they are ready to sell. If it's off market, you might need to wait a little bit. It depends. And some of the off market ones are actually ready to sell because then that's when they reach out to you with interest to have you come take a look at it. So yeah, it's pretty normal. It's just that there is some approval going behind closed doors in the probate court before you even get into the picture, where they need to tidy things up and then make sure the property is ready for the sale process. Okay. All right. Thanks, Meg, for introducing yourself. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So the next question I have here is, are there some are there some improvements that can raise my property value higher than others? That's a great question. Certainly, yes. Okay, so I would say for a fix and flip or for a flip, your barest minimum should be painting, right? So when you paint a property, the whole property changes. The whole interior looks different. It looks like day and night, especially for a property that's run down. If you paint that property, you're doing a lot of good. That's number one transformation, I would say. Paint it at least. The other ones, I would say, let me actually put them in categories. So I'll prioritize roofing. I would say roofing number one is something that would drastically increase the value of your property. So if you replace the roofing, if it's bad, right? If you updated the roofing, maybe you replaced it or you did a roof overlay, definitely your property value can go as high as 20,000 more or even more than that, right? Because that's directly on the appraisal, right? The other thing I will say is your kitchen, number two. Your kitchen. If you have an updated kitchen, then the value goes way higher. The desirability of that property so goes way higher. Guess who makes the decisions on property purchase for the most part? If you have a couple, you have a husband and a wife maybe, and you're wondering who actually eventually makes that sound decision, so to speak. If you know, they say happy wife, happy life. So make sure that kitchen is very good, at least, right? So kitchen, I would say, as far as the interior is concerned, kitchen number one, of course, after painting. So we're saying painting, then we're saying roofing, we're saying kitchen, and then we're saying bathroom. Okay. So the bathroom should be the next one. Make sure that bathroom looks great. Okay. Bathroom isn't that much of an expense, but definitely update the bathroom. Then after bathroom, I would say flooring. Okay. So if you have hardwood flooring, which is the highest category I can think of, versus vinyl or carpet. So you kind of see the difference. That also reflects on the price. And so definitely those are the core items that I would say if you wanted to pick and choose what to do on the property to really boost the value, those are the items that I would concentrate on. Okay. Okay, good. Then the other question I got is, how long does it typically take to be in and out of a flip? Great question as well. How long does it take to be in and out of a flip? I would say on average, maybe earliest will be around 3 months. Earliest, around 3 months. I'll say average 4 months. Yeah, depending on what you're doing, depending on how much repairs, how many or how much repairs you're doing. Because the more the repairs, the more weeks you need on your scope of work. So definitely around 3 to 4 months is what I will say on average to be in and out of of a flip. Well, I will say fastest on average, the fastest timeline you're looking at to be in and out of a flip. Because remember, you got to buy the property, then you got to do the work, of course, using your contractor, and then you got to put it back on the market. So that's at least a month timeline each, right? Because when you put on the market, even if it sells immediately, it goes under contract with the buyer. A buyer needs about 30 days or a little bit more to close. So yeah, definitely gotta give it that time. So 3 to 4 months minimum on average. Okay. And I think this might be the one last question I got. If you still have any other questions, I'll look at it in the chats. But right now, what I have here says, what is the assurance that my flip will sell? Very good question. Because fix and flip is a risky one. It's a risky business, right? So first of all, I will say this. Do your market research. Okay. You gotta understand where you're buying the flip. Is that a new home owner or home buyer market? Or is that like a rental market. If it's predominantly a rental market where you mostly see people who are looking to rent houses, or the property is surrounded by multi-families and rental properties, it's kind of going to be a tough one to sell, right? Because a new homeowner doesn't really want that kind of view. They want to have other co-homeowners and not tenants who are in and out. So they want people they can build a relationship with and can grow with in that community for the most part. So you got to really look at that market or that particular street that you're buying a flip on. So your market research is number one. Definitely your numbers have a lot to do with that, right? So your market research is key. The other thing I would say is when you're selling the flip, you got to price right. If you don't price your property correctly, that's a recipe for disaster, because if you price too high, you're not gonna get offers, right? Um, you're not gonna get offers. It's not gonna sell because the price is too high. So before you even do the flip, you already know what price you're gonna sell at, and you're making sure you have comps or properties within that area that have sold for a similar amount. Okay, that look just like that property. So you're saying, how much will my property be worth after I am done? It's at that point that you make your decision as to what amount you will be selling that property at. It's at that point to determine how much you're putting into the property and if it makes sense or not. Okay, so not down the line. Okay, so make sure you're pricing your flips right. The other thing I would say is, of course, right? You got to do a good job. Do a good job on your flip. Your contractor needs to do a good job. If their job is shabby, if the painting is not good, if they have things all over smeared, and no one would like the property, I'm telling you this for free, your finishing needs to be great. If your finishing is imperfect, I mean, there would be imperfections, but like, if it's too many imperfections, that can really hurt the sale, because people kind of think, if it's if it's this shabby, or if it's this bad outside, like based on what I can see, how about the things that I cannot see? How about the things inside the wall? Even though you did a great job inside the wall, your roof is great, everything is good, they still kind of get the vibes that they can't trust your work because your finishing wasn't great. So make sure that they finish the property good, and you gotta have a realtor walk through it and make sure that they did a great job. What we usually do is place blue tapes in different areas where finishing needs to be done, and you can have your realtor do that for you. They're very good at that. Okay, when they do the property walk through before they list the property. The other thing though is the finishing inside the property. Okay, so inner circle folks, you guys hopefully already know right now, if you've done your fix and flip intensive, you know that you want to spend a little bit of money on your fixtures, right? Electrical fixtures. So like maybe like what I have to my right or left, I don't know, wherever that pendant is, something like that that really looks really cool. It's not expensive, but you gotta just kind of pop things up here and there to make your property attractive. So lighting is a big deal. Lighting can transform a property. So make sure lighting is good. The other thing I would say as far as working inside is, um so if you're in a neighborhood where most of your comps or other properties have hardwood flooring, do not install vinyl and hope for a great sale, okay? Because then you haven't positioned your property to be as competitive as others. Okay, so other properties have hardwood flooring. Why does your property have carpet? Why does your property have vinyl flooring? So look at the comps and make sure that you have the same level of finishing or better. Okay, so you can be competitive. So the assurance, what other assurance you have that your flip will sell? So you're making sure you're doing your homework, okay? Making sure that you're positioning your flip to sell. So you definitely want to know what sells in the area as far as flooring, as far as the kind of finishing, right? Because a high-end area, you definitely don't want to do an inferior finish, okay? The other thing, and I think we mentioned this the last time when we had something with Shola, when we had that Q&A, is your staging, right? So stage it. Staging gives you a big bucks back, good return on your investment on the fix and flip. So stage it, at least do your best. Stage it, present it in the best way you can. Present the best way possible. Because guess what? If let's say staging will really affect your sale and you put it out without staging, and then now I've seen that happen a lot where people are retracting properties to restage it and put it back on the market. At that point, the property is losing trust because when you start to move a property back and forth and it's not selling, people start to think something is wrong with the property. So why not outright just go ahead and stage the property to present it the best way possible? Okay. One more thing I will say is your photography, good photography. I mean, I guess nothing's wrong with using your iPhone, but I would say that that's still not the best way to present your property. So I would say definitely get a real estate professional photographer to take those pictures and to list them for sale. Okay. So all these things go a long way in making sure that your flip sells. I don't see any other reason why not, right? If your price right, if you did a great job, you're competitive with your finishing and all that stuff, you're staging, you're doing photography, why not? For most people who are not selling, it would be because one of those items is wrong. Something is off somewhere. Okay. All right. I think I addressed every single question. I don't see any other questions. And if that's the case, well, I think we're done for the night. If you still want to join our inner circle and get started for real, for real, for real, then definitely type inner circle in the comments and we can help you. We can actually it's more of a hands-on kind of help where we are talking, we are analyzing deals together, we're talking about your projects and things like that. You get direct help hands-on with your projects. So definitely type that in the comments, especially if you're trying to do a fix and flip, do not do it alone. So we help our students with their scope of work. We help them set things up for their fix and flip. Definitely, you want to not risk it. Okay, so how much is the importance? I see one more question in the comments. How much is the importance of location in the fix and flip? A neighborhood considered high crime. Okay, so for high crime areas, you're actually dealing with the possibility that as you're actually doing your projects, there might be a theft, right? So they might be stealing your contractors' equipment. They might be stealing, yeah. So we've seen that happen a lot in high crime areas. So your flip itself might not be safe. Your project might not be safe. Your materials might not be safe. You might have you know, a break-in. So that's something that can be tough, especially when you install appliances and then someone comes and they take everything. That's not a good thing, right? So I think that's number one thing for flips in high crime areas. It might eventually sell if you're competitive with, I mean, people still buy houses in those kind of areas. There's some people that love those kind of neighborhoods. It's just like more of a lifestyle for them. So that'll be more appealing to them, but that's not majority of the people, right? So you're shrinking your market pool. I would assume that majority of people want a safe area, but some people are actually used to certain areas. That's why they would never leave those areas, right? And so if they saw a house that they could buy next door, maybe they would, right? So there is always someone who wants something in the market, but make sure you're priced right. But if you can avoid it, definitely avoid that because of the safety issues, even while you're doing your projects. So yeah. But the same applies with how you want to sell in that kind of area. Make sure you line up everything, your price right to do a good job. Um, and all the good stuff, staging and stuff. Okay. And God forbid, one takes out all your staging stuff and elopes with them. But yeah, that I think that's like the biggest risk for those kind of areas. Adebowale. Okay. All right then. Well, it was nice to be here. Type inner circle if you still want to join us, and I'll see you on the next live next week. Have a great evening, everyone. Bye.